Welcome back to special election day coverage. I'm Matt Ricker, and thanks for joining me as always. We're on Facebook Live as well. And if you didn't get to catch them on Facebook, you can either watch it here or in the video section of my Facebook page. But now I want to get to some updates on the election. This information is provided by CBS News. Now at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, the 2016 race that began 595 days ago. Can you believe that? 95 days ago, and involved 22 major candidates, is expected to end Tuesday as millions of voters head to the polls across the U.S. to cast their ballots for president, vice president, their representatives in Congress, and other local elected officials. On Monday, Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State and former First Lady, held a small 4 percentage point lead over GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump, according to a CBS News poll, measuring the state of the race before the polls opened. Senator Tim Kaine, representative in Virginia, is Clinton's vice presidential nominee, and Republican Governor Mike Pence of Indiana is Trump's running mate. Now, in order to win the presidency, a candidate must win 270 electoral votes, a majority of the 538 electors. It's possible for a candidate to win the national popular vote but lose the Electoral College, which is what happened in the 2000 presidential election. Electors are slated to cast their votes in mid-December, and the final tally won't be official until Congress counts them on January 6th. So remember, the election can change, and the results could change because, as we saw in 2000, of course, I was only 4 or 5 years old, so I don't remember this at all. But there was a major problem with the votes in Florida, and there was an issue with counting. And early on, it was said that Vice President Al Gore won the election, but really it was George W. Bush that won. So it was a very tough time for politics. Now. There are 13 battleground states, in case you haven't heard, but it's Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, and New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, as well as Wisconsin. Now, as of Sunday, CBS said the 4 following states, totaling 73 electoral votes, were toss-ups. Now, it was Arizona, Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina. Clinton and Trump spent most of the last few days in Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Now, if you go to New Hampshire, as I mentioned before, voting started at midnight, which is kind of unusual because most polls in different areas either open at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., and while poll closing times range from 6 p.m. to as late as 9 p.m. local time. So don't forget, even when the polls end on the East Coast, when they close, we still have to wait for the Midwestern and Western states, since they're not on the same time zone, so that'll be kind of tricky, but the different news media places tend to base it off of exit polls, but that's not always accurate, as we may know. But at 6:46 a.m. Eastern, the first votes were in, and Donald Trump is off to a very early lead in the election, winning over the voters of 3 tiny New Hampshire precincts by a 32-25 margin over Hillary Clinton. And the polls in New Hampshire towns of Dixville, Hart's Location, and Millsfield, opened after midnight Tuesday and closed as soon as everyone had voted. Wow, that's interesting. That's not really heard of in some areas, but Clinton won more votes in Dixville and Hart's location, but Trump was the overwhelming favorite in Millsfield, sorry, I keep doing that, with a 16-4 edge. And under New Hampshire state law, communities with fewer than 100 voters can get permission to open their polls at midnight and close as soon as all registered voters cast their ballots. Now, something like that would not work in New York because at least with the tri-state area, because there's, hundreds of thousands of people that, vote everywhere. So, and then at 7:25 Eastern, Tim Kaine cast his vote early this morning around 6 a.m. I was shortly after him at 7 a.m. Walking from his house with his wife, his parents, and two neighbors. He voted in his hometown of Richmond, Virginia. And for the rest of the day, he'll appear on some morning shows to encourage people to vote, have breakfast with his buddies, and come home after breakfast and just spend the day at his house. So, that'll be interesting to see what he does for the rest of the day. And so this is going to be a historic election. I believe, and as many people believe. And for millennials like myself, this is the first presidential election for voters like myself, 20-year-olds, 19, 20-year-olds to vote in. So, and then one of the other updates was that at 8:20 a.m. Eastern, Donald Trump's son, sat down for an interview on CBS this morning and predicted Tuesday that his father will win key battleground states like Florida and Nevada in the presidential election. And asked if he predicts his father will win Florida, Eric said, "I really do, because frankly, everywhere I go, there's thousands of people that show up." And which is true. When you turn on the television, you see at the Trump rallies that, that there's been plenty of people that are voting. And there are 6 or 7 different routes, including Nevada, which traditionally never goes red, but I think it'll go red in this election cycle. This is Eric Trump speaking. So, we'll have to see what happens with that, with Nevada. So, excuse me, just give me a moment. This is a lot of information right here. I'm going to go back to, I'm trying to go back to the Electoral College, see if that has changed. Typically, it doesn't change this early in the election day coverage. Let's see. There we go. This map is according to RealClearPolitics.com. I've relied on them for many elections. No, it hasn't changed recently, but as of right now, Clinton stands to be at 203 electoral votes, with Trump at 164, and there's 171 that are up for grabs. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. As I said, there's 13 battleground states that could go either way. So that'll be very interesting to see. Now, in New York, traditionally blue, it's definitely going to be a blue state. It's historically always been. It has 29 electoral votes, likely will go to Clinton. Texas is a big Republican prize for the party. It has 38, along with California. That's a big Democrat prize. So, yeah. That this will be very interesting to see what happens, especially Florida, and Michigan as well. That became a battleground state late in the game. A couple of days ago. It's speculated that people in Detroit are having a change of heart. And maybe because a lot of people in the Detroit area work for the auto industry. Now, as you remember, back in, I can't remember the year, apologize for that, but the Cash for Clunkers program was started by President Obama, which was essentially the bailout of the auto industry. There's mixed reviews whether that helped or not. It probably did help, the auto industry get back on their feet after the election. So yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Regarding the election. Sorry about that. The computer locked me out for a minute. All right. Well, that's all I have for right now on general election info. So we'll be back in a little while to discuss more updates. So stay with me. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you.